Hello there. I'm going to try and do something a little different this week. I'm going to try doing an actual writing vlog because there's nothing more exciting than watching somebody write. So I'm going to record over the next couple of days, and I'm actually should be to be correct. I'm going to be rewriting. Still working on Under the Dark of the Moon. I'm trying to get through the 22 chapters that I had written so I can actually continue on and finish it. Just a quick, what I do is I print out a series of chapters. This is book 2. I'm into chapter 11 overall, third chapter of book 2. And let me show you. And I just go through and I rewrite. I go through it. You could think of it as a very a very intense line by line edit, which essentially it is. Most of it's staying about the same. Some of it is actually changing. Some things are getting dressed up, and some language is getting cleaned up. I actually, as a little background, I actually started writing this back in 2008. Yeah, don't go there. I know it's 12 years ago, almost exactly 12 years ago, actually. So, now I'm pushing forward to try and get everything, get it caught back up, get it back in my head, and finally get it finished. I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to self-publish this or I might try and traditionally publish it. I do have a couple of story ideas that I want to try and keep short enough to do a traditional publication on them, but we'll see how that goes. So let's get going. Okay. You probably are noticing I've changed my shirt. I spilled my lovely beverage all over me, so I had to change my shirt. As I've probably mentioned before, I write everything on spiral bound notebooks. It just works better for me that way. Everything by hand. I used to use standard pens. Now I do use a fountain pen. And to paraphrase the 11th Doctor, fountain pens are cool. So normally I would have music playing in the background or YouTube videos. I can't do that because I don't want the copyright strike. So we'll see how long we go. And I do have a solitaire game up on my monitor because I like to stop every few minutes and give my hand a rest. And hang on. There we go. Had to reposition things a little bit. Okay. And here we go. The scene I'm working on, Brianna, George, Scott, and Lily have just arrived at the coven. They've just pulled up, and there's a little scene with the essentially the major domo of the coven, the guy who's actually the head of the staff. He's my arm keeps reflecting light off of it. Usually I have it up like this, but it's reflecting light. And he's Italian, and we find out that Lily speaks Italian. Why not? And away we go. Um, I do tend to go pretty quickly when I'm rewriting like this because I'm not really changing anything. I am, like I said, I'm polishing up the language. There's some horrible grammar in this that I'm cleaning up as I go along also. Plus, I'm getting my translations down because I've got characters who are fluent in more than one language, and occasionally they do like to use that. Excuse me. George is French, Brenna is Welsh, Scott is Irish, Lily knows Italian. Um, all my mages speak a variation of Latin called Jinna, Djinn apostrophe A, which is the language of the Jinn. Um, so they do use those languages, and that's where Google Translate comes in. And I just want to make sure that everything is good. Now I know the first draft doesn't have to be perfect; it just has to be finished. But that's the problem. This first draft was never finished. Although, given the number of times I've worked on it, it's probably like draft 20 by now. But whatever. One of the things I don't do during my early drafts is focus too much on set description. What the general layout of where a scene is taking place. I'll just give some generalities right now, but I won't go too deep into the description because I've found sometimes I tend to get hung up on things like that. I'll stress over, okay, what does the office look like when I should be telling the story? So what I'll do is I'll leave an asterisk there as a reminder to myself that this scene needs to be expanded, or this location needs to be described in a little bit better detail. And then through the subsequent drafts, I'll get everything. I'll figure out exactly what the office looks like, furnishings and things like that, the fixtures and fittings and all that, and I'll get it. Then I'll get it all worked in. It works easier for me. And the thing to remember is, when it comes to writing, we all do the same thing differently. This works for me. If it works better for you to plan everything out and work everything out to the end, go for it. When he was alive, the late Harlan Ellison, when he was younger, would um, write stories on the spot. I remember once I was at a convention up on Long Island, where I'm from, and he was a guest there, and he actually wrote a story on the program. And I remember watching him turning this thing around, trying to follow the story, trying to read it out loud. And it was an interesting to watch. And I remember reading about him going to bookstores and writing a story on in the front window of a bookstore. One time, I think he also did it on the radio. It's my mind doesn't work that fast. I'm a very slow writer, hence how long this project has been going on. It's not like I've been working on it consistently. I mean, I wrote, I stopped, I wrote, I stopped, I rewrote, I stopped, I rewrote, I wrote, and then I stopped, which is where I'm at right now. This time, though, I am bound and determined to finish this thing because I know how it ends. I just have to get there. I really do enjoy. I've always enjoyed writing, the physical act of writing. But I have to tell you, I like writing with this fountain pen a lot more than a regular ballpoint pen. It's an entirely different feel. I'm coming up on 15 minutes. Okay, I'm probably going to end this for now. I may do. I may continue it over through the rest of the week. I'll have to see how I feel. It's been a rough couple of days. I'm not going to go into my issues again. I did that through 2 videos. I'm not gonna go through it again. Hopefully, hopefully things will change soon. I had been taking hemp oil gummies. They worked for a while, but they seem to have been losing their efficacy. So I've got actual hemp oil on its way, and hopefully that will help a little bit more. But I'm gonna go a little bit longer. I'm going to finish this paragraph here. The thing is, I don't have any real editing software, so I can't just record myself writing and then edit it. I do have a basic video editor that I don't know if it's part of Windows 10 or not, but it's there and I use it. It doesn't really allow me to edit the actual video. It's more for I can put title cards in, and if I have multiple videos that I want to put together, I can have those. I can arrange them, but I can't really say, I can't like write for an hour and then say, okay, well, I'm going to cut it off after a certain time. I don't really have that, and I don't have the patience to learn how to use it. To be absolutely honest with you. Okay, that's yeah, not the most exciting video I've ever done, but none of my videos are actually real edge of your seat watching. Like I said, I might do some more later on in the week, and we'll see how that goes. Catch you later. Hello there. You'll notice that I'm not actually on camera. Well, my face isn't. Mostly because I'm doing something a little different. Earlier in the week, I recorded a video of me working on this next draft of Under the Dark of the Moon. So I figured I was drawing a bit of a blank on what I wanted to write this week, record this week. So I figured let me just record a little bit more and just kind of like review my process a bit. This is, again, I'm continuing with this, rewriting this current draft of Under the Dark of the Moon. I'm into book 2, chapter 11. So we're rolling right along. The plot line is not changing. There's some language that's being cleaned up, and a couple of things I pulled out because when I first wrote this draft a few years ago, it made sense. Now I'm a better writer than I was then, and things aren't making, and some of those things just don't fit. So now I'm just cleaning that up. Excuse me. If you could see this, you'd ask yourself how badly I failed penmanship in school. I failed penmanship very badly. I had to stop writing in cursive because I couldn't read it. And actually, sometimes I have trouble reading my print. That's why I have to use the finest nib I could find on a fountain pen when I started using fountain pens. Otherwise, I used to use microfine, the absolute finest point I could locate for my regular ballpoint pens when I use those. And basically with this drafting, I'm essentially going through and like I said, cleaning up some of the language. The plot line I'm okay with, as I've said. The plot line I'm okay with. it's just really language that's being cleaned up a bit. This isn't actual editing. This is just what I'm calling absolute final draft. Because once I get through the 22 chapters, that I have written, and as soon as I get through rewriting those, then it's moving forward to getting the story finished. And I have made notes about those chapters. I know, generally speaking, what happens, but I was just trying to make some notes, try and get it narrowed down, because where I stopped, the next chapter starts a big action sequence. The coven where a large part of the story takes place is attacked by our bad guys and their allies, and I'm not good with action sequences, so it's not big action sequences. So that's going to take some work. I figure that chapter or two is going to take me a long time. So while I'm doing this and essentially just getting the story refamiliarized in my head, and like I said, polishing language and such, I'm also thinking ahead to what's going to be going on in those chapters. Excuse. Usually when I'm writing, I'll have something playing in the background. Not really, well, sometimes the television, it depends. I watch a lot of Science Channel and Food Network and Cooking Channel. So I'll usually have one of those on in the background. Occasionally, history or travel, one of those. A lot of times, though, I'll have YouTube videos going in the background. I do watch a lot of science channels, and some other geeky channels, geared around science fiction, Star Wars, Star Trek, and some that are just like general geekdom. I'm really not. I find generally when I'm working in silence, my mind starts wandering. So I do need something playing in the background. I don't have anything playing in the background now because I don't want to risk a copyright strike. I had one a couple of years ago because I accidentally, not even thinking about it, I recorded a video and I had some Billy Joel songs playing in the background, and I got a copyright strike. And it's like, oh God, yeah, never going to do that again. That's one of the reasons why there's never any music on my videos, because I can't really. I'm looking for public domain music. I just haven't found anything that really works for me right now. One of the things I do have on screen and I find helpful is Google Translate. If I have a character that speaks another language, I like to sometimes have them speak that language. For example, in Under the Dark of the Moon, our main character, Brianna, is Welsh. Her husband, George, is French. Another main character, the third main character, Scott, is Irish and does speak Irish. And then there's our other main character, Lily, who's Italian on her mother's side and speaks Italian, which is something I wish I had done. I'm Italian on my mother's side as well, and I really wish I had learned how to speak Italian. I mean, I know a few curses, but that's about it. Not really something that would help. So, and I like to do that. We're not holding conversations in in Welsh or French, but George likes he'll sometimes refer to Scott, who's his closest friend. He'll sometimes refer to him as mon frère. Sometimes he will use French idioms or French words. Same thing with anybody who speaks another language. In Upon a Far Distant Shore, Artemis is ethnically Chinese, and she is fluent in Mandarin Chinese because her parents made sure her and her sister knew both English and Chinese. Of course, she did also go on to learn 4 other languages after her transformation, if you will. And I know it's probably not, and it works for me. I know I'm probably not getting the most colloquial translation, but unfortunately, I have to work with the tools that I have, and I'm sorry. But now, if I can keep myself from being distracted, then I can pretty much cruise right along with the rewriting, and I can if I remain focused on it, I can charge through a chapter a week. So I'm in chapter 11 now. We go up to chapter 22. So, and the thing is, I have to keep myself from being distracted. Sitting here at my desk, I have my computer right here in front of me, and all the internet right there. So you could say I could step away to my comfy chair over there on the other side of the living room, but unfortunately, I have this smartphone and I have a tablet. So, it's... Somebody once said, writing is, I believe, 2% inspiration, 98% not being distracted by the internet. So, so I guess that's going to be it for now. I'm not the most scintillating videos I've ever done. I'm sorry, but I was drawing a blank this week, so I figured let me do this. So, thanks for watching. Sorry if you were bored by this. I'll try and get something more engaging next week. Remember, all the books are down below. They're They're available ebooks, print on demand from Amazon. If you do buy a book, please make sure you leave a review, good, bad, or indifferent. It all helps. Also down below, you'll find my my social media links. So see you next week, hopefully with more engaging video. And remember, we are each of us the heroes of our own stories and the villain of someone else's. See you next week, guys. Bye.